Hi everyone, how are you doing? Do you like this quilt block I just made? I wanted to show it to you, so I pinned it to my wall. It's a block that I made a version of a long time ago, and I wanted to make it into a whole quilt. So I decided this afternoon, hey, something I can do before I go to work is make a quilt block. So I did. There it is. I think it turned out pretty good. Anyway, that's not really what this is about, but I just thought I would point out that I made something. I feel like that's important right now because there seems to be so much wanton and wholesale destruction out there that creation is so important. And um, learning, building, making something work that doesn't work in its current state because it's broken or something, you know? That seems very important to me. I've been writing about that a lot in my journal lately too, how I need to sew through all of my fabric and actually use it and turn it into stuff. It's really important. Uh, it's on my mind. Something that I've been thinking a lot about lately is how some days, as I've said in other videos, some days it can sure feel like just, you know, like nothing is working, nothing is the way it should be, according to my mind and what it says, basically. And one thing that the current situation has reminded me of is that, as spiritual teachers say, you have everything already that you need as you are. It's not about having a certain amount of money or a certain social status or a certain uh, type of home that you live in, a certain amount of cars or a particular type of car that you drive. None of that matters. And what matters is the knowledge that you are enough and that you have what you need already. You know, in a previous video where I was baking lemon cranberry loaves for myself, I don't know, that was one of those moments where I had the ingredients to make it. And so many ingredients like eggs and milk and things like that are expensive. Never mind buying a pre-made cake. They're really expensive. So if you can make it yourself, I advocate for that. If you can find the basic materials that you need to do whatever you need to do, and you have the skills and you have access to YouTube, if you don't actually know fully what you're doing in some way, could be retiling your bathtub, could be changing the oil in your car, it could be sewing a quilt block that you don't know how to do. It could be threading a sewing machine if you don't know how. Anything you need to know, you can find out. That's one of the cool things about living now in this tricky time. See, my grandparents being immigrants, it was really important because they were pretty instrumental and influential in how my sister and I were raised. Even though we were not born until the 1980s, it didn't matter. It was really important to my grandparents that you learn these things. You learn how to sew both by hand and machine. You should learn how to cook things. You should learn how to grow food. Sadly, that's one of my shortcomings. I can't grow things. It doesn't work. That's a skill I did not acquire. But being able to do things for yourself was really important to them. including making your own life better, using the resources that you've got. Not making your life better in that kind of North American post-war way of, the 50s and 60s, right? Back in those days, making your life better meant more access to credit and money and stuff because the economy was so different that at that time, right? That's when people did have access and they could expand on their material surroundings. People started not having just one car to drive anymore. Now they had two cars to drive. Things like that happened. And that's sort of what we think about even now when we think of making our lives better and nicer, right? It's the acquisition of more stuff, usually. But the way I was raised is, no, you don't need to do that. That's just society telling you that you should spend money, and if you don't have the money to spend, then you need to go seek it out. Which means you just have to pay it back later. So if you don't need a thing, don't go borrowing for it. Of course, my grandparents were of a different generation, so they didn't really understand stuff about money the way that we might nowadays. However, that aside, it's a mentality thing. I'm not here to talk about money necessarily because I don't consider myself very knowledgeable in that way, but it's an attitude. And even if you don't have everything you want, you can still find what you need. You can still find fulfillment. You can still feel good with the lot that you've been given. And I know this is not very earth-shattering or anything. It just feels like something I've been trying to articulate for a little while, and that is we do have what we need. I didn't buy anything to make that quilt block. That was all just fabric sitting in my bins of fabric. I didn't buy any thread. I didn't buy anything because it was all literally material that I have. I have the sewing machine, I have the thread, I have the needles, I have the pins, I have the iron, I have the starch, I have the cutting mats, and I got everything I need. And chances are quite good that you do too. And I just thought I would share that because it's so easy when times are hard to feel miserable, and I don't want that for you. I don't want to do that either. So that's why I say this and sometimes share videos of me making stuff like a quilt or food or something, because it seems important that we discuss that stuff and share the information, because it's a way of helping each other when times are tough and we don't always have money to share with them, even though we might want to. So that's what I think I have for you today. I hope you're doing well. I hope this finds you well. And it was nice to see you. Of course, engagement time. It's engagement time. There's a subscribe button there. There's a video down there that you're welcome to go and watch. It really helps a lot. So I'll see you next time.